All right, WNOV family, this is Will Martin, and you are listening to The Difference. The Difference. Jermaine.
Yes, sir.
I thought we were going to have different kind of weather today.
Yeah, I was looking forward to some sunshine, and yeah, but it's quite gloomy out there.
You're a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So, actually, to tell you the truth, how I produce music really depends on how I'm feeling, like the atmosphere that I'm in, because like certain days like this,
yeah.
man, I would sit at the piano and I might, create like a slow ballad or something, something
Okay.
that's, slow, just, piano and strings. But when the sun is shining, oh man, you get drums, bass lines.
Oh my goodness. Well,
you get all the above.
I know this is not your particular genre of music, but I am living Johnny Cash.
Oh, I love the line.
Yeah. Well, no. I've been everywhere, man.
I like Johnny Cash. Man.
I have been like over 1,000 miles since I saw you last.
Really?
Yes, man. I was in.
He packed his bags.
Yeah.
And
I
went.
literally packed a suitcase. The thing was like, we got to sit down on the suitcase to close it. So I was literally doing that because we got from here, went from Racine to here to Langlade.
Where's Langlade?
Anago, Wisconsin.
Way up north.
Yeah, way up.
Almost Canada.
Come on now. Come on now. So, yes, we got up there, went from there over to Manitowoc, to Green Bay, over to New Richmond in St. Croix, almost over to the other edge of the state, down to the Mississippi River, Vernon County, over to Monroe, back up to Barron County, Rice Lake.
Got the map from Indiana Jones and the planes flying over. It's just
then down to Madison. And then finally, yesterday night, I finally made it home.
Wow.
That was the first time I'd been home in a week. So since I saw you, I've been on the road. And that's the nature of trying to, run statewide is people forget how big this state is. 85,000. No, what am I saying? 85. 65,000 square miles. 65,000 square miles.
That includes the rivers?
No, that actually leaves out the lakes.
Wow.
That leaves out the lakes. But yeah, 65,000 in my car. I'm telling you, man, I need to have Keith be on the show because I pray when I get in the car, while I'm in the car, and when I get out of the car, that the car will start again. Because some of these places I'm going to, you get out in the darkness.
Oh yeah.
And you are just between places. But it's been a blast doing it. But man. Alone? Oh yeah, and my car looks like I live in it. I have a coat, I got a blanket, but everything else I need is in that car. Is in the car, man. Everything I need is in that car. So she's still rolling. Did I tell you that I melted down the catalytic converter? Right. Well, the car's back up and running, and so am I. Right. So
that's some serious driving.
It is serious driving. It is, man, and it's been a joy. But man, I come home when I get home, I'm like. I'm out of it.
Yeah, you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I was definitely after a week of being on the road. It was like
actually, it's amazing how those of us who live in Wisconsin don't know Wisconsin.
Oh yeah,
because
it is a big place.
Yeah, because you said what was that, Langston?
Langlade County.
Langlade.
That's where Anago and Merrill and
so that's close to Canada.
No, he's telling you that. Don't listen to. Don't listen to him.
He'd have me all over close to Canada.
We're not near Canada.
Now look, man, you know that this is fugazi. This is a man who's leading you the wrong direction. So do not listen to him about Canada. You will the missing link. You will miss the link because I listened to the wrong person.
Minnesota, you closer to them than
Canada. Yeah. You getting toward Michigan. That land they stole from us. Yeah, exactly. So
we let them think that it's theirs, but it's ours.
Yeah, it definitely is ridiculous. How can you take a piece of land over here and put a bridge together and say that that's part of another state?
Yeah, wow.
Okay, now see, we got all these other issues going on, right? Okay, so that's good. We had a little levity, but we got a serious issue today, and we're going to come out of the serious issue with some positivity about what people can do. So we're going to talk a little bit today about child welfare, and we got started talking with Hilario Deleon, who is another guest here today. I told him that just coming repeatedly does not equal getting on the payroll, right? So you can keep coming.
I'm looking for the paperwork.
So
I
are
just
we.
keep finding treats outside.
So are we, man. That is the payroll.
Taking
Treats.
care.
And we've got Jackie Rice here, Jacquelyn Rice, who has a long history. I didn't say years. An extensive history, right?
Keep going. You
There we
so
go.
far.
There we go.
So
An
far.
extensive history in child welfare, in foster care, in social work. And so once, some time ago, we had you in, and we were
Correct.
and I was just furious about some of the stories that were coming out about what was happening to some of our kids here in the community. And I remember just as you had come, because this was the reason why I was reaching out to ask you.
In the
Storage unit. So
That's right.
so that was one of them. 6 kids with a family. They ranged from infant to, I believe, 9 years of age was the oldest one.
And an infant.
Yeah, so there was literally an infant, and the kids were locked in the summer
Oh my God.
in a storage unit. They were padlocked into the storage unit.
Basically
No
at
electricity.
night. Basically at night.
What is
Yeah.
wrong with people?
So they had no electricity. There was a bucket for waste and a mattress, in there. That was basically what they had, and the kids were by themselves. Parents were living out of the car.
Right.
They were out of the car.
I'm talking.
So that was one of the stories that prompted me to reach out to Jackie and to Glynis Underwood, who's also, they're both at St. Charles Youth and Family Services. And it is an organization that does deal with foster care
Right.
and getting specialized foster care. But you and I, Dwayne, we've talked about some of these issues about, what's happening to our kids, what's happening to our community. So this happened where we had a whole family, parents in the car, the kids in the storage unit. And it was the Milwaukee Fire Department that actually got a
There
Yeah.
they go.
tip. Yeah, they got a
Yeah.
call about hearing a child.
Mm.
And they went to go check it out and actually cut the padlock, found the 6 kids who were in the storage unit, right? The other one that drove me crazy at the time too was there was a stepfather who threw his daughter, an infant, right? I think 1-year-old girl, threw her from the balcony of the house, right? And so it was just like, wait, what is going on?
Yeah.
And we talked about it at that time from the parents or from the adult side of the storyline. Then so this is a long intro to this day's show, right? But to tell people how we got here. So we talked about it from the adult perspective of, how the system works and what do we do about these. But I kept saying, what do we do about the kids though? What do we do to make sure the kids are safe? And in talking to Hilario, we got into a conversation about just, how people grow up. And he's got to telling me his story of how he was growing up. And I was like, wow, this is like the child's perspective of child welfare. And thought we got to have a conversation about, kind of the bad stuff that happens. What can we do to be better? And then how do we make sure that that the kids and the parents and everybody comes out of this in a better place? And so that's why we are having this conversation today. You okay with that, Jackie?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Now look, now where 2 or 3 are gathered. So
In my name.
see, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you bring Jackie, you got to come with the entire details, right? Okay, in my name. So, I want to just start with, Hilario, if you could just talk a little bit about however much you feel comfortable with just telling your story of, from a child's perspective of what it's been like to go through the child welfare system.
Yeah. I mean, I want to first say, I think, adoption is one of the most important things in our society. I
Mhm.
think it is a very beautiful process. Is it a perfect system? No, not every system is perfect. But in my case, I'm very blessed to have the family that I'm with.
I'm going to play this for your mother, by the way.
Oh, you can play it for her. And,
Okay.
as much as they drive me up the wall,
Yeah.
I do care about them. They are my family, and I
Mhm.
love my mom dearly. because I've been with her since I was 4 months old.
Yeah.
And as I was saying, last show, kind of the process that I went through was I grew up in an abusive household. My biological parents, so I have a biological brother. He's my half brother, same mom, different dad. And he was a few years older than me, and we grew up in an apartment in Oak Creek, or kind of like a condo. And our parents were abusive towards us. They neglected us. They wouldn't feed us. There was physical abuse. There was my brother's feet were burnt on the stove at one point. He very much remembers a lot of that. I was a baby, so I don't remember anything. And at one point, our parents were just beating each other up one night. The police were called, and we were taken out of the household. My brother remembers holding me in his arms, hiding in one of the closets from being, attacked by our parents. And so we were taken to St. Luke's Hospital, and there, the officer that was on scene with them, or with us after, we arrived, him and his wife actually got done filling out foster care paperwork and stuff. And so they're like, we need a place for this kid to go, my brother. And he said, look, we're willing to take him home with us, and they took him that night. I was right away. My mom had just, got done going through the foster care program of like filling out all the paperwork, and they called her like at 4 a.m, basically saying, hey, we have this baby boy. He's 4 months old. Can you take him? She didn't even have diapers or anything. She remembers running to Walmart and, just trying to get what she could. My mom couldn't have kids. Neither could my brother's adopted parents. And so I was put into this foster home with my adopted mom and my adopted dad. Right at 4 months old, and I was with them ever since. And I wasn't officially adopted until I was like 5 or 6 years old, because of how long the process took, due to the our biological parents trying to fight and get us back. They even tried kidnapping my brother.
Wow.
While he was in the separate family. What was great was that I got to kind of not entirely grow up with my brother, but we had a lot of visitations. We went to each other's birthday parties. We got to, sometimes he would come by us, or I would go by them and spend the night. And it wasn't until I was 9 years old when I started to question more about my adoption. I didn't know the whole story. So everything that I found out about the abuse and everything like that, I did not know until I was 18 years old. And that actually came from my brother. He explained it all to me. And so I went to try and find my biological parents. My adopted mom was very supportive. She didn't entirely know the whole system or the whole story as to why we were adopted. And we reconnected, and I found my biological parents. My dad was living in Texas at the time. Him and my mom were split up. And so they came together. I started doing visitations with them again, and my family had informed my brother Alan's parents, like, hey, this is something that we're kind of doing. If Alan wants this opportunity, he can. But because his dad was the officer who was on one of the scenes that took us out of the household, and we're at the hospital with us, he knew the whole story. He knew everything that was going on. And they said, absolutely not. So from that point, from 9 years old until I was 18, they would not let me see my brother. And so we kind of, as we got older, how do you reconnect with someone after such a long time? It's your biological brother. What do you really say? I didn't really know what to say. Someone I knew got us reconnected, and we reconnected on my 18th birthday. He came over, and it was a very beautiful moment, and he's in my life now forever. But I am actually his last living only relative. My brother, because all his relatives have passed. His biological dad had passed. Our biological mom had passed away when we were 13. She died from drug overdose, some hotel in Milwaukee. My dad still lives in Texas, my biological dad. He has another family and everything like that. And then even when I was like 5 years old, my adopted father took his own life. He was an alcoholic. He killed himself, and I didn't realize that until I was 18 as well. I was told that he had an illness, which is true. Alcoholism isn't a disease; it's an illness. And so, from the certain point of my adopted mom, she was correct. I finally understood that, and I'm able to cope with that and understand it and process it and, respect it. And so I was raised by a single mom, for my whole life.
And it's not just the two of you. I mean, because your mother didn't just adopt you.
Yeah, she adopted 2 other kids. My sister, Nikki, who's African-American. I'm grateful to have that opportunity. My brother, Seth, who's actually blood related to her. It's her cousin's son. So there's some family resemblance there for her. And I'm just grateful that she, as much as I've been a difficult kid, growing up, I try to think that I walked a pretty good.
And Jackie, when you talk about me, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, it's a house full of fugaziness. But I'm just grateful that I had this opportunity, and I'm able to talk about it and share this opportunity with other people. Because when I was growing up in school, kids would ask me all the time, what do you mean you're adopted? Oh, that's not your sister. That's not your actual mom. What do you mean? What does that mean? Like, can you explain that? And, as I got older, I'm able to better explain it to people. And it didn't affect me. I wasn't offended or anything like that, because that was my family. That's what I grew up with. That's what I relate to.
Yeah. So, Jackie. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So now, I really wanted you here to hear some of this too, because you talk about the systems and kind of the law. And so there were multiple things about his experience that I thought, wow, this is a really kind of a different thing than what I've always heard. Like, for instance, the idea that you keep the siblings together, right? That's sort of the priority, that you keep them together, or they at least are connected, and all. And that struck me as a little different than what we say in the abstract, in the ideal that they're together.
First of all, I think you were very fortunate. You were able to remain in a home. We call it the forever home. You didn't have to move from home to home. You had the experience of a blended kind of family. You have a female, you identified as African American. I don't know if your other brother, but it looked like you guys were brilliant. But that wasn't an issue with you.
I don't know what my brother Seth is.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
So
I'm kidding.
Don't stop me with that. But so you had a very well-rounded kind of family, and so you were very, very fortunate. There are other children who have found themselves away from their biological families, who had very, very positive experiences. So when I was talking earlier, we were talking about the bad part of it, that like the children whose family placed them in a locker, and as it unfolded, it wasn't out of maliciousness. It's out of need. They slept in the car outside, but they locked it, so they were afraid somebody else might try to go in, but it was still a violation.
Right.
So now they still probably, because they charged the parents. So now they in care. So you had a very good experience. And I think if we share some of the good experiences as often as we share some of the other ones, I think we will have a better opportunity in getting people to come forward, and then getting foster parents who, it can work. I share with you outside that my first cousins, about 4 of them are all adopted. And my mother's first cousin was adopted, so it's not an anomaly in my family, and so we look like your family, all a rainbow, There wasn't an issue. Once you come into the fold, you're part of the fold. So, but in terms of being in foster care, the first part of it is that there's a traumatic kind of experience that a child has. Just from being removed to the familiar, to the unknown. he was explaining, Will was explaining when he was up in a part of Wisconsin, he knowing about the unknown,
Yes.
the very unknown. How do I manage? How do I navigate it? And so children learn quickly sometimes to navigate the unknown much
Yeah.
quicker than we do.
Mhm.
But so getting you can't get them over that for a minute, but you try to find a resource family. They call it a
Mhm.
resource family now, who understands, who has compassion, um, so they can go into a home.
Yeah.
Um, some children get adopted right away. Some don't. The
Yeah.
splitting up, what Will was talking about, it's my understanding that the practice is keep siblings together.
Right.
But there are circumstances when siblings should not be together. Have a couple of young girls, they're cute as they can be, but they fight each other and so you got to separate them to
Mhm.
decide, because you can't let one be destroyed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and to find out what's the etiology of that
Wow.
animus between the two of them, so
Yeah.
you can get them back together.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
is right, we do.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just amazed because we need to hear more stories like
Yeah.
yours, rather than I aged out of foster care.
Yeah. Well, we're
Mhm.
going to continue this conversation right after this break. All right, WNOV family, this is Will Martin, and you're listening to The Difference, and we are talking about child welfare today, and we thank Hilario Deleon for coming on today and kind of giving his personal experience of what he and his brother, endured, and life has how it is, progressed since then. And Jackie, we were just before the break talking about, how common or uncommon it is for the siblings to be separated when they're being placed. And as Hilario was talking about, it was like 4:00 in the morning when they were actually doing these placements. So we just wanted to hear some more from you about.
Well, excuse me, please. It happens. And there are various scenarios in which it could happen. One is that they might not have a resource family that can take more than one child. Everyone doesn't have 4 or 5 different bedrooms waiting around. Sometimes they have a couple of bedrooms. Some parents have a preference. And so if it's at 4:00 in the morning, you have to go with what you find.
Right.
If it were not an emergency, you might have an opportunity to look around, but the effort is always tried. I get contacts information, said we're looking for a resource family, and they describe the child's behaviors, or maybe I should have said the child's needs first before I said behaviors, and try to match that with a family. But I get a call, and there are 3 siblings, one 8 months, one 5 years, A family cannot always accommodate. The other thing that people forget sometimes is that foster families also work.
Right.
And so you bring me those 3 children at 4:00 in the morning, what am I going to do at 8? So all those things are taken in consideration. So the compassion that we experience is try to do the best you can.
Yeah.
So
what I love about the story, and it's not a story, it's your life, right? But what I love about it is I've met your brother.
Yep.
Obviously, I talk to you every day. So, I know there's some craziness, but it's a lingering craziness. It's not a criminal craziness.
Correct.
So, but you, what I like about both situations is you both have come out of this, in part, I would suppose, from the stability of having been placed and adopted in families that have been intact. You've gone through that experience, but you've been resilient, and you've come out the other end of this with positivity and building your own lives.
Yeah, and it wasn't even just the traumaticness from, like, again, I was 4 months old, so I don't remember anything that happened at those times. But even in my adopted family, I had other family members or whatever that ended up doing drugs or other things like that. That's just something that happens in society.
Yeah.
And so, even with that being the case, I stayed strong. I stayed, I tried to be the best person I could be. And then even when I turned 18, knowing all that information, it was a lot to process and to kind of take into consideration. But I felt like having the ability to be able to meet my birth parents, because not everyone has that opportunity.
Right.
Some cases they'll never be able to find their birth parents,
or they're not living,
and so I had that opportunity where I was able to reunite, kind of close that cracked open door that was just there, that curiosity, that unknown. What was that going to look like? What is going to happen?
I think you also had an opportunity with a family who was not insecure about allowing their children to know that they were adopted.
Yeah.
And allowing their children to interface or find for their own satisfaction. Some parents are a little threatened when that relationship has to go back this way, and they might. And so you learn some strength from your mother. And I never say adopted mother. You got me.
Yeah.
I'm it. So
at least for the audience, it helps them keep track.
So I'm saying your mother would sound like a very straightforward and positive person. Saying, I have these children. I love these children, they're mine, but I need to make sure they know where they came from.
Yes.
And so part of my family who had adoptions, they let the children know, that they were adopted. And it for me, in my philosophy of it, it helps the children navigate the world because somebody else is going to tell them.
Yeah.
And the person who does not tell their child, and the person down the street, one of the children, well, we know you adopted, then you get a child. So the parents who are comfortable and secure understand that, and so your parents obviously understand.
What I like, what I take away from the story is just again this sort of generations of resilience, because your mother had to be extremely resilient too, to have adopted 3 kids and then have her husband die by suicide. You've got the trauma that she had to endure through that experience, as well as you've still got to handle 3 kids.
3 kids on your own.
Exactly. And so the fact that she has done that, she did that, she's continued, that's a really great role model in life as well.
The other piece of that, she had 3 children and a spouse who obviously had some concerns and issues that she also had to navigate.
Right.
Yeah.
So am I,
because
people that don't commit suicide right off the top. So something else was going on, and she was aware, and it did not disrupt the family.
She was a business owner too. So I mean, being a business owner, she owned 2 bars on the South Side, and then eventually gave those up and sold those, and then she worked at the Marcus Center for the Performing Arts for many years. Now she's working, as she's older, working at Amazon. I mean, she is nonstop. My mom's 67, 68 years old.
Anyone home with her now? Your sister?
My sister, she's out on her own now. My sister has 4 kids. She's got her and her boyfriend are together, or might as well be husband at this point. They've been together so long, they have kids, but they're on their own now. And it's just a fascinating.
Okay. Hey, so we've got a call, and I understand it's Meech. So Meech, welcome. Happy Thursday, man.
Hey, good afternoon to you.
How are you?
I'm blessed, man. I couldn't resist the call in on this particular topic and show. I was listening earlier. You were talking about the people that lost their children out in they were at the storage area.
Hey, Meech, are you on speaker? It's a little bit garbled.
Okay, let me see what we got going. Wow, it's embarrassing for me now. Anyways,
okay,
is that better?
Yeah, that's better, man. That's better.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is that those people were, they were interrupted with the living arrangements that they had, and they had no other choice.
Yeah.
And they were out in the parking lot. It wasn't like they were gone far away from these children. And the girl, my understanding, got a misdemeanor because they were afraid of the system. Yeah. You have to realize something. The system became a hungry machine after Bill Clinton signed the CHIPS Act into law in 1997, right after about 3 years after the crime bill, because what are we going to do with all these babies? Parents being lost, there's no support, so we're going to get this insurance deal. They put it under the insurance deal to get everybody hyped up about it, but it became actually a kidnapping service. This is, So I have a question for the lady that's there.
Yeah.
When you take a child into this child protective services, why is it so hard and difficult for the mother or dad to retrieve that child after they participated now? And I'm a witness. And all of the parenting, got all the certificates, did everything, even got a nice house with furniture and everything. And then they still want to hold those children hostage. And then I got one comment for Hilario. Go ahead, ma'am. Can you?
I don't work on that side of the equation. So I don't have a very specific answer about what happens. I do know that there are some specific statute and guidelines that workers have to use in their working with families. And so for that situation you're talking about, I can't answer.
So, but Jackie, to Tamisha's point, sometimes it is the degree or the severity of the issue that preceded it, right? So what happened with the family, like in Hilario's case, the jury just decided by the time they got to termination of parental rights,
they kept
that it was so severe.
They kept trying to, like I said, they tried kidnapping my brother by gunpoint, tried taking him, and he remembers the story very well, and he explained it in great details to me, but like they kept trying.
Are you talking about the parents?
No.
Yeah. So
right, because they feel that they were probably Hilario. I understand what you're saying, but they probably felt that you guys were kidnapped by this system. That's a. I mean, and I hate to say it like that with that lady sitting in there, but it seems as though after you get everything
here,
Right.
I'm still sitting here.
Right. Well, have you ever encountered where a person has did all the necessary things and they still had a problem on getting those children retrieved?
No, I'm
talking about, have you seen it?
Do you want me to answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think it'd be not a good idea for me to try to respond to a scenario because there's so many. And so I don't really know what happens in the scenario that you're talking about, but I do know in any system, there are issues and concerns that manifest. And so for the case that the example that you're using, I don't know what happened. Yes, there are some faults in the system, and I would be the first to agree with that. And why the persons you're talking about were not able to navigate.
No, I'm just saying abroad. There are some. It's not just one occasion.
There are some wrinkles in the system.
Okay.
Sir,
okay.
I would agree with that.
Well, at least you're able to admit that part. And so
I acknowledge that because when you are not the person in charge of it, you really don't know all the dynamics. And so, but no, there are some quirks in the part, just like in any other system, governmental system, that there are some perks.
And it's a tough system, right?
It's a tough system.
Now, one thing I'd like to say this before you get me out of here, Will. I want to congratulate Hilario on where he's come from.
Yep.
Larry, I met Hilario when he was about 19 years old, and he was being actually pushed around and bullied then. And cars gave him his first position. Now look at the young man.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud that I was able to at least get him out to cars and put his case out, draw a case out of how they were treating him to get him in the position where he is now. Yeah. This guy's got some things going on where he might, hey man, who knows where he might wind up at in the work that he's doing right now.
Well,
I'm proud of him. I'm proud of you, brother.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I want you to keep doing what you're doing, even though you hardly ever acknowledge me. You never give me no point. I like you.
You're on the show.
Listen, man. Hey, listen. I'm glad that I was a part of getting you the recognition because they had forgot all about you after that Black Voices for Trump. And then to bring you forth and see where you at today, man. Yeah. I can't wait to see where you actually wind up. You might wind up in the governor's office one day.
Hey, Mitch, we might be right close.
So, Mr. Meach, I'm recruiting for foster parents. So give me a jingle.
Wait.
So, well, I'll be totally honest with you. Yes. I'll fight that system because I understand where it comes from, and I've seen the misery that is caused. I've seen girls die. I've seen girls couldn't get their babies back. Did all they could do with the welfare warriors and all of them trying to help get them kids back. And it's like a mean machine. Ever since Bill Clinton, now it's always been foster care. But once Bill Clinton signed that law, that CHIPS Act, and disguised it under child insurance. Well, it is insurance, ensuring the safety and protection of a child. Okay, it's not health insurance or any of that stuff. It's yes. So anyway, after I seen that come right after the crime bill, about 3 years later, they said we got to figure something out. So it started being a hungry machine and just grabbing babies, all kind of babies. I mean, especially black babies. I mean, and Hilario might have been a victim of that. Looking at his age, he was probably a victim of that CHIPS program. So, it's still in effect right now. It hasn't been repealed. The HIDA Act by Joe Biden, that whole crime bill is still in effect right now. It has not been appealed. They have 4 years Joe Biden to repeal that thing and get this stuff out of the people, especially the poor people's communities, but he did not.
Yeah.
So I'm upset with that. So I'm not interested in being a foster care. I'm interested in getting some of them babies back.
Well,
because
wait.
I think that might be a whole nother topic.
I think so.
it is.
So, Meech, all you're doing is making sure that we come up with another show. But
Yeah.
but here's the thing. I think we can all agree that there are situations that kids should not be in, no matter what the system is, right? That we just got to make sure the safety of the kid. On the one extreme, totally agree that all these systems are just systems, and they're going to end up being people who get hurt on either extreme of it. The most important thing is figuring out how do we make sure that people can be resilient through it. And I think that that's the thing I take away. Now, Meech also talked about being proud of you and where you have come to. And so we didn't really talk today about like where you've come to. So, Jermaine, you see this man come in here every once in a while, right? I told you about, like, I think he's trying to get himself lined up to get on the payroll because he just by being here. So, for those who don't know, Hilario Deleon is the youngest large county GOP chair of any county party. I think at one point you were the youngest in the country.
I still am. I still am the youngest in the country.
Okay.
So I was elected at the age of 22 as chairman of the Republican Party of Milwaukee County in 2023, and I was just reelected February 1st, 2025.
Overwhelmingly, like
84% of the vote.
I'd say that's overwhelming.
Yeah, someone said those are Saddam Hussein numbers. I said, don't say that. That's
There you go. So I mean, that is, and I think that's what's incredible about the story is we often talk about the damage that is done, and Meech is right that there are certainly people who get chewed up in systems, right?
No system is perfect.
The idea that you came through, and I really just give your mother all kinds of credit for the fact that she was able to navigate both her own grief, and then kids are not easy. Right. And Hilario, I know you, so I know kid in particular is not easy.
Yeah, I'm a very independent thinker when it comes to how things should be, and especially regarding my life. But I think that in terms of my situation, I don't think I was stolen. I think I was liberated from a household that I shouldn't be in.
Well, especially when you talk about growing up in an abusive situation, and the idea that I just want to make sure too, because he's touching buttons over here, and I know we're going to end up with a break again. Just before we go to break, I think it's important for the audience to know that while you and your brother were separated, that 9 years that you all were not able to see each other, you were in fact able to recreate the relationship.
Yeah,
you all do have a good relationship today, and so even that has been healed.
And we even had an opportunity to live together. So that was a great opportunity to be able to grow. And we really were very similar on a lot of things and what we liked and what we enjoyed and passionate about. So it was amazing being that much apart that we could have that, relationship rekindled.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to make sure before we get to the break that we can say like things do come back around. All right, now, Maestro, we go to break.
Clean up Meech's stuff,
After the break, though, right?
I want to clean up here first, so I know I can say it right.
All right, cool.
Go ahead. I'm not going to bash child welfare with him, and there are a lot of things that I know that are wrong with child welfare, but then there are a lot of things that have helped people move from one point to another, and so child welfare is not just protective services.
Yeah.
Child welfare has a broad base.
Right.
Adoption comes under child welfare. Transitional living comes under child welfare. All kinds of things come where things are done. Now, we can always spend most of our time on horror stories, but we need the good ones too.
Yeah, that's right. And thank God that Hilario stories and your brothers have turned out to be really positive stories.
I think you'd be surprised how many people have gone through what we call the child welfare system. One of the biggest ones who does it used to be the guy who started Wendy's.
Oh, Dave Thomas.
Dave Thomas?
Yes.
Dave Thomas. Yeah. Dave Thomas. And hence the reason why adoption. Now, look, we got to pay some bills, so we got to stop talking and let somebody else talk for a little bit. Okay, WNOV family, this is Will Martin, and you're listening to The Difference. And thank you, Meech.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to acknowledge you, Meech, because I do. So anyway, yeah, look, we've been talking about child welfare. I think it's good that we've gotten a chance to talk about it. It's not all one thing, and it's not all something else, right? People's experiences have been very different, and I think the reality is we're not going to be able to save everybody, parents or children, in the process, but we hopefully are doing the best we can for the kids. Ultimately, I think one of the things that we talked about in the break is, so often, there's a difference between the folks that are charged with neglect because they simply are in poverty and they don't have the resources to take care of the kids. That to me is a different matter than kids who are in abusive situations,
Right,
where we as a society need to get them out of that situation and all. And so one thing that, I think about is, so often kids will mimic what they have grown up in. And here we have two young men who grown up in the system, but they were in stable, intact, adoptive situations, and are not, in fact, Hilario, I know for a fact, doesn't drink.
that
He's
is
going to be
true.
my designated driver on a regular basis because he doesn't drink, and
what he drinks doesn't matter.
there we go. There we go.
Just
So
fine.
let's talk about, because I know we're in the last minutes of this show, and I just want to talk about Jackie, I wanted you here to talk about how can people who want to make a difference, in Hilario's case, his mother has made all the difference. In Alan's case, the family that adopted, all the difference. And for the kids who go back to their families and they've gotten resources, all the different. Where can people go to become a foster parent? How can they do that?
Well, you can come St. Charles' office, and they will direct you to my program. And what I do is that a person expresses interest in becoming a foster parent. We interview them and we
Okay.
talk about them. And my efforts and the staff's efforts is to talk to them candidly about foster care.
About the reality.
Well, and I don't do gory stories and things
Mhm.
like that, but it is something that you want to do,
Mhm.
and that my program is primarily for children who have medical disorders.
Okay.
And so you have to be willing to be trained and understand the psychiatric dynamics that go with it. And because those are some behaviors that, I didn't know the kid had these behaviors. And there are different types of foster parenting. You can do what they call general foster care, where children just have a need to be in the home.
Right. And on a temporary basis.
And mine is more for children with psychiatric disorders
Okay.
and medical disorders.
But there are also respite families too.
We have respite families if you were interested in, but remember, my children have behavioral issues. Yes, we have a respite. Some respite providers don't have to be trained. I require that my respite providers receive some training,
Yep.
so that they know not just the behaviors, but also what comes along with having a child who's not yours in your home. That's really key.
Yeah.
It's different, because there's some oversight. And so learning how to work with that and understand that parents still have rights.
Yeah.
And I encourage foster parents to make sure that they, if possible, to engage with biological parents, because children, like, he went to look for his parents, right?
Yep.
And so that's all right. So
yeah. So if people are really interested, and particularly in your programming, it's St. Charles Youth and Family Services, and they can go to St. Charles STCHARLES.org, inc.org. So it's STCHARLESINC.org. St. Charles Inc. St. Charles Inc.org. Right. That's right. So that's one way to get there, or you can actually look it up.
Call the number. Mine is 414 529 414 539 4907.
Okay. Coolio. Right. You want to say that one more time?
414-539-4907.
That's beautiful.
That's my direct number.
All right. So that's your direct number.
I answer my phone.
Okay, coolio. Okay, Meech. Call the number. So last advice here, right? Because I know the man's itching over here. The man's gonna touch some buttons. So before we get cut off, what's your advice Hilario, for kids who grow up in the system?
I would say look at all options, all opportunities. I think there were some great resources out there for me. When we were out in the hallway, we were talking about groups like Kids Matters, adoption resources. It's a beautiful thing. And, again, no system is perfect, but I think the system is what you make it. Those that participate and are involved in it and actually want to add goodness to it.
And
how do you work out?
How do you advise people to be as resilient as you've been?
I don't know, because I think that's just how I am personally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just look at different people around. I try to see the goodness in people, and I try to see, through my faith, I try to see God through people and their actions. So ultimately, I think that is the best thing that you can do.
Cool.
And I think just enjoy life. It's a beautiful thing.
I think people can see how others bounce back.
Yeah.
And so resilience is not, I think for me, it's a learn trait.
Yeah.
Like never give up.
Yeah.
Keep on hanging in there. And so
keep on keeping on.
Keep on. You know, if life serves you this, then you just move to the next level. But resilience.
I would like to keep on, but Jermaine is over there keep on trucking, so he's gonna push it. He's gonna be pushing these buttons in a second. So hey, so WNOV family, thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.